In the very near future, there will be some drastic changes made to Weekly Shonen Jump, specifically its manga lineup, with two very big series making their grand exit, leaving behind massive holes that will need to be filled, and what better way to fill them than by bringing back another fan-beloved series. So let's talk about the possibility of Black Clover making its big return. Now, obviously for this video, we're referring to the manga, not the anime, although there have been rumors about it returning circling around lately, but rumors about the anime coming back have been popping up every couple of months since it ended. So I always take the position of wait until there's some kind of announcement or official confirmation before I get my hopes up. I think it's always best to have a wait and see type of mentality for these kind of things. That way we don't work ourselves up only to get disappointed and lash out when what we thought would happen ends up not. Like, for example, when it was rumored that the manga was getting 40 to 50 pages per chapter after the move to Jump Giga, but instead we got 29. A lot of the fans were not happy about that, and they let their frustration be known very loudly on the social medias. Although, to be fair, while we're not getting 40-page single chapters like many fans hoped, we are getting two chapters that range upwards of 20 pages per each issue of Jump Giga, so, it kind of even things out to what we were kind of expecting. But still, it's always best when it comes to rumors about Black Clover, or really any series you're a fan of, to take them with a grain of salt. That way, if they end up being false, which usually has been the case in my experience, you're not totally let down. Which brings me back all the way to the topic of this video, the possibility that Black Clover's manga will once again be moving magazines, going from Jump Giga either back to Weekly Shonen Jump or finding its third home in Jump Square. Now, the reason this question is being brought up is due to the fact that two of Shonen Jump's current most popular series, Boku no Hero Academia and Jujutsu Kaisen, are very quickly coming to an end. Boku no Hero Academia is basically at its finale, although it did introduce a new mystery that could have extended the series a bit, maybe giving it another arc or a few more chapters to deal with it. But instead, Horikoshi decided to end that mystery pretty quickly and use it as a way to show how society in that world has progressed post the ending of the Big War. So, as of recording this video, there is only one chapter left of the series, which honestly is very sad. While I may have only sporadically made videos or talked about the series on this channel, I have been a huge fan of it since its very first chapter, so seeing it come to an end is kind of bittersweet, but at the same time, I do think that Horikoshi is gearing up to have Boku no Hero Academia have almost a damn near perfect ending. And with the current pacing of JJK, it's likely that it will be ending by mid-2025, with maybe the manga stretching out to the end of the year, depending on how and if Giga handles the merger of the citizens of Japan with Tengen, because as of right now, it's not exactly clear if that's even going to end up happening, because with everything the characters have been throwing at Sukuna, it's hard to see him not being the final opponent of the series. My only real hope of the merged cursed spirit showing up post Sukuna being defeated was the idea that that's when Giga would finally show off Yuji's domain expansion. But as of the recording of this video, we literally just saw it in the newest chapter, so more than likely Sukuna will be the final opponent and Yuji is probably gearing up to beat him very soon. And once those two series are gone, there goes a huge chunk of Shonen Jump's revenue. With the current state of the magazine, the heavy hitters in terms of volume sales are One Piece, Boku no Hero, and JJK, with the lowest of those three still selling way above 500,000 copies with their latest volumes. And in comparison, the next highest that I could find from the volumes released this year from the magazine's weekly series are both Sakamono Days and Blue Box, which each sold just over 100,000 copies. But then after that, there's a bit of a fall off, with most of the other mangas not even reaching 50,000 copies with their latest volumes. And look, this is not me calling any of those series a failure. I actually really enjoy some of them. I'm personally a huge fan of Mission Yokozora Family, which if you haven't read yet and you were a fan of Hitman Reborn, I've always said it is sort of a spiritual successor to that series, so I highly recommend you check it out. And while I still haven't checked out Elusive Samurai's manga, from the small clips of the anime I've seen so far, it looks pretty good. So if the manga's anywhere near that quality, I'm guaranteeing you I'm going to be a fan of it. Now, all that being said, look, maybe there's a chance that once JJK and Boku no Hero leave the magazine, that some of these other series will get a huge influx of readers, because we do have some that show some promise and could possibly make it to that 100,000 threshold, but that's going to take a lot of effort and promotion on Shonen Jump's part to make them look a lot more attractive to a new audience, which more than anything will take a lot of time. But while we're waiting to build up these smaller series, bringing back one